Everyone, it's me, Harry, and we're on day 19 of the Mediavent calendar today. And what we're going to take a look at is the two big mascots of Vivendi Universal Games, or Vivendi Games as they were later known before the Activision purchase. You know who they are: Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. I don't own any of the PS1 entries, but I do own the entries in the next-gen platforms. So, let's start it off. And we're starting off with the GameCube version of Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Cortex, which was released near the end of 2002, and it was developed by Traveller's Tales, and this version was ported by Eurocom. It's a heavily flawed port of the game. It was based on the Xbox version, and since the Xbox was, well, more powerful than the GameCube, it seemed like Eurocom really struggled on putting the game on the system. Published by Universal Interactive, as expected for a Crash Bandicoot title. Here's the manual. And the back has an ad for Spyro Enter the Dragonfly, another infamously flawed title. And a little ad for Spyro 2 Season of Flame for the Game Boy Advance. Next up is Crash Nitro Kart, developed by Vicarious Visions. It's the spiritual successor to Crash Team Racing. This was released near the end of 2003, published by Vivendi Universal Games. Here's the disc and the booklet, manual. And the back has an ad for the Sierra The Hobbit game, which I also have as well. On almost all the platforms it was released on. Here's a game that was pretty much rushed to store shelves when it came out. And that's Crash Twinsanity, released in 2004, developed by Traveller's Tales Oxford Studio, which was a short-lived spin-off of the original Traveller's Tales development company. And then it was absorbed in 2005. So this was released on the PS2 and Xbox. There was no GameCube version because of the rushed development cycle. There wasn't any time to do a GameCube version, which I find pretty strange, considering that the next game did have a GameCube version, but I have the Xbox version here. Crash Tag Team Racing, developed by Radical Entertainment, once again published by Vivendi Universal Games, released in 2005. It's another Crash racing game, but with some little bits of action-adventure platforming elements as well. And there's an ad for Crash Twinsanity, now available on Xbox Classics. It's promoting the re-release of the game. And then lastly, for Crash Bandicoot titles, it's Crash of the Titans, part of the Crash Titans duology, developed by Radical Entertainment once again, and published by Vivendi Games. Released in 2007 for an assortment of platforms. I have the Xbox 360 version here. My thoughts on it is the game is pretty repetitive. It's a platformer beat-em-up, and at some times it's a little bit too easy, but I like the transformations and whatnot Crash gets into, so yeah, pretty okay actually. And now let's go over to the sister franchise, Spyro. And here is Spyro Enter the Dragonfly, originally released for the PS2 and GameCube. The GameCube version does fix some of the bugs and glitches, but it's still not a good game. It was developed by two companies called Zyring Digital Entertainment and Check 6 Studios, published by Universal Interactive. It was a pretty much completely rushed together game. And I mean, it was completely rushed. So, yeah. Spyro: A Hero's Tale, both the GameCube and the Xbox versions. They're pretty much the same game, but the Xbox version runs a bit better. Developed by Eurocom. So this is the last console Spyro game part of the original franchise. And this came out in 2004, around the same time as Crash: The Wrath of Cortex. And no, I mean Crash Twinsanity. I don't know why I mixed up my words. Ad for Crash Twinsanity on this one. And the ad on this one is for Crash Bandicoot Fusion and Spyro Fusion for the Game Boy Advance. Makes for a good compromise anyway. Let me just put them back. And now we're on to the Legend of Spyro trilogy. Here is the first game, released for the 6th gen platforms in 2006. Developed by Chrome Studios. And this started off the Legend of Spyro sub-series. Here's the manual. And the back has an ad for the mobile game. That was released by Vivendi Games Mobile. And then here's the disc. It was one of the last few original Xbox and GameCube titles released. Next up is the Legend of Spyro: The Eternal Night for the Wii. Released also by Vivendi Games and developed by Chrome Studios. So this one only had, for the console releases, a PS2 and a Wii version. But it does work with the classic controller, so you can control it like the PS2. Not much of a harm at all. And last but not least, The Legend of Spyro: Dawn of the Dragon, released in 2008. Developed by Itrages Lubris, aka Strange Dragonflies. Makes sense. It's interesting that this was under a different developer than the other ones, but still. Here's the manual. On the back, there's an ad for Crash Mind Over Mutant, one of the last games released under the Sierra banner before Activision retired it. There's no Activision branding on the disc, though, unlike the US release, interestingly enough. And there's two different versions. So the 360 and PS3 versions are one version, and then the other two versions are for the Wii and PS2. Oh, and there's Crash of the Titans advert on the back of the Wii version of The Eternal Night. Anyways, that's the end of this video, and next time for day 20, we'll be doing a mixed batch of games. So I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.